Welcome back to another spectacular episode of the Show. We are two geeks who talk about everything. My name is Aaron, and I'm joined by my co-host and cousin Landon. What's up,
Good
man?
day. I'm here.
We're here. It's been a month since the last episode came out.
That's true.
But it's been longer than that since you've been on here. We had a
Travel.
couple of guest co-hosts and didn't intend to have that hiatus, but things happen, and so now we've just decided to run with it, and now we're spinning this into season 4. We're welcome to season 4 of the Show. Season 3 will probably go down in history as the season of the co-hosts and a lot of Star Trek talk.
That's really what it was. I mean, completely.
Basically.
So, yeah, but I'm back and should be back a bit more now. So, hopefully.
Well, today we are instead of doing movies, instead of doing TV, we're getting into the world of video games and gaming, modern video games. We're not going back in time and talking about old school Nintendo or Super Nintendo or Genesis or any of that stuff. We're actually talking about games that matter today. We're diving into Insomniac's hit PlayStation games, Marvel Spider-Man, and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, of course, there is a Spider-Man 2 that's already come out. That's a big, huge deal. But that will be our topic for our next episode. This time we want to just begin with what started this franchise for Sony and for the PlayStation. I've been dying to talk about these games, Landon. I know you're excited about it.
Yeah.
What did you think of that first Spider-Man game when it first came out? This is back in 2018 now. This is already 6 years ago.
Yeah, so when it first came out, I think I was interested in playing just because I was like, oh yeah, it'd be cool to swing around the city, but my expectations were low. I
Mhm.
found that at that time of my life, between, I'm working during the day and I just have time where I'm able to, in the evenings or on the weekends, just kind of jump on and play. I found myself going after all of these little side quests and just exploring the entire city and falling in love with it. Getting my character like super OP, and then I would just like fight bad guys much easier by the end of it. But it kind of crept up on me how much I loved it, actually.
I, honestly, so when this Spider-Man came out, it was the reason I finally broke down and bought a PlayStation 4. I didn't
Oh,
have one before. Like I'd been content with my PS3. And actually my backstory is I was actually on my second PS3. My first one died.
mm,
I was trying to watch a movie in it, like because we had discs, about 10 years ago, and I was trying to watch, I think one of the Lord of the Rings movies, and the disc got stuck in the PlayStation
oh,
3,
that's the worst.
and like what was it, the yellow light of death or
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
was, came on, and I was like, oh crap, this is not good. So I broke down and had to buy a second PlayStation 3, which I still have actually, and it works great. But it wasn't until Spider-Man was announced that I decided, all right, I've got to get the PlayStation 4, because this game looks incredible. And I'd played other Spider-Man games in the past. The only one that I really liked, and I really thought that they got the web swinging physics right on,
Yeah,
was Spider-Man 2, based
yeah,
on the movie, the Tobey Maguire movie, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and that was a fantastic game back on the PS2. But when anything they'd come out with past that, it felt like it was like something was missing. Like it wasn't as intuitive, or I don't know, it just didn't feel right. But watching like the previews for this game, it felt like, okay, this looks realistic. I bet it's gonna feel realistic. And I mean, yeah, I could spend hours just playing the game as Spider-Man swinging through the city, not even stopping and and hitting up any crimes or anything. I can just go
Right.
from one end of the island to the other. So
There's
much
like
fun.
elements of this game that other games that I play, like Assassin's Creed, or even playing through Arkham City. was, you get this world experience where you can do these little side things. And if you just want to go fight somebody, you could just go fight somebody.
Right.
It's and there's so many different combos and moves. It really is so amazing how fast you can go through and swing. It's almost cathartic to fly through that whole area or swing through any area around anything. It takes a minute to get used to, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I mean, geez, it was just like a way to decompress by I think I'll just go swing around New York City.
I imagine that's how Spider-Man feels some days. He's had a
Right.
rough day, got in a fight with MJ, and well, I'm gonna go blow some steam by swinging around Manhattan.
That's got to be it. Yeah.
And one thing I really liked about it was like you start off right in the action. Like
Yeah.
so there's a learning curve with
Oh,
trying to figure out how to play and how to get all the mechanics of what button does what and how do you actually swing and how do you fight somebody, how do you punch, how do you kick, how do you jump, things like that. But they throw you right into the action with
yeah.
the opening sequence. You're taking down Wilson Fisk,
Yeah.
and I love that this is a Spider-Man who is well into his career as a superhero, and he has been building a case against Kingpin for years. And
Yeah.
finally, he and the cops are on the same page, and they're going after him. And Spider-Man is kind of just front and center. He's ready to go in, and he just takes everyone down. It's amazing. But I love that they throw you in there, and that's your tutorial. That's how you
Yeah.
learn how to do everything.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I mean, I died a few times. I mean, because it took me. You are really right in the action, and you've really got it. But once you get through it, then you're like, okay, all right, I got the timing down a little bit, especially when you're in that room with Fisk, and you've got to dodge, and you've got to be able to take things and throw it back to him. It's like, all right, this is how this game works. Super
Right.
helpful to do that from the get go.
Yeah, it's like I need my spidey sense to slow things down for me so that I can kind of grasp what's going on because there's something happening here. He's got henchmen over here who are attacking me, but he's like getting ready to charge me like a bull. I'm just like, I don't know what to do yet. And
Yeah.
but yeah, it's so much fun. And I mean, of course, we have talked about the graphics and just the way everything's animated all day. It's beautifully done. And the cutscenes that you get are in a lot of ways better than some of the movies we've gotten. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
so well done.
they are very well done. I also think that they did a great job in keeping this very distinct from any of the movies or the show
Mhm.
or anything like that. I mean, it was its own thing. The characters, the look of the characters was different. I really thought the Otto Octavius character was a great character, the way that he looked and that he was the entire movie until the end. I thought that he was just not, Alfred Molina,
Right.
and that was great. And I thought that, just, and we'll talk about this in the second one, same thing, Osborne is not Willem Dafoe. It's like you're really getting a unique character, which I think is so hard to do, especially for Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And yet for me, they really pulled it off. He felt like he was his own Peter Parker that was different from any Peter Parker that I've seen before, and I loved that.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely I think did a great job like you said distinguishing the difference between this game and the reality that it takes place in as opposed to what we're seeing on the big screen, what we've seen in cartoons in the past or even what we're seeing in the comic books. This is definitely a very different reality. It's a different way of telling the story, I thought, because you've got like what you mentioned with Octavius. I love that relationship between him and Peter. They've got that mentor mentee relationship, and almost like a father son sort of relationship too. Outside of because we're years past Uncle Ben dying, right?
Right.
And so you've got this relationship between Peter Parker and his boss who he looks up to as a role model for him.
Yeah.
And he is so excited to be doing the work. He's willing to, you know, keep working with Octavius without being paid to work for him.
Right.
That's how much he loves this man. And so to see that relationship grow, and sorry if this is a spoiler, but to see Octavius later become Dr. Octopus and actually become because he's the big bad of the game, which you don't see at the beginning. Like
Right.
they sow the seeds, sure, but it's like, is he like the final villain? Yeah, he's the big bad.
Yeah.
Which is, and I love just the emotional toll that takes on Peter
Right.
when he's the one who he realizes he's the only one who can take him down.
Right.
And so it's just so well done. I loved it.
Well, and so obviously we have to talk about two things. One, talking about spoiler alert here, for if you haven't played the game, don't listen
Years
to this
old,
next
guys. Yeah,
part. Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
don't know it by now, you don't know.
You gotta know it. But one thing that's very different in this game from what we've seen and was unexpected is Aunt May dying. Of course, you see that with Marissa Tomei, with Spider-Man lately, but you haven't really seen that before. It's
Right.
it's weird, to see it happen here. I was in like disbelief. I was like, no. I mean, I cried. I mean, it was
Oh, I did too. Yeah.
such an emotional scene.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if it got you as well.
Absolutely did. And I think that's something that's amazing about the way that they're able to tell these stories in these video games these days, is that it's not just like, yes, I'll watch a movie and I will tear up and even cry when something touches me. I cried when Aunt May died in No Way Home, sure.
Yeah.
But it's different when you're the character here.
Yeah.
Like you are stepping into the shoe. No, I'm not actually going outside and crawling on walls, but I'm stepping into the shoes of Peter Parker. And
Right.
as I'm in this game and I am controlling this person, I am caring about the things that he cares about. I'm
Right.
this responsibility that he has, I've taken that upon myself
Right.
to be the hero that he is expecting of himself to be. And
Right.
so when he has a loss, I feel that loss too.
Right.
That's what is so great about this medium of storytelling in video games, is
Hmm.
that you're able to put yourself in the shoes of these characters. It's like with The Last of Us. You
Yeah.
know, I can't remember if I told you when we talked about the series. Gosh, that was, what was that, a year ago? Um, when we talked about the series, I don't think I ever actually played the game all the way through. I've
Right.
only played the first, like the opening sequence
Which is hard.
where,
Yeah.
yeah,
Where
and
Joel's daughter dies.
I mean, you're 20 minutes into the game, and then you've got this heartbreaking scene with Joel's daughter, uh, and it's just like, what? This is the beginning. How much worse can this get?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, with this immersive storytelling that we have now with video games, it's not like you plunk a quarter in and you're trying to get a frog across the street, and you're not, if the frog gets run over, you're not emotionally invested. Oh
This time it's
no,
a spider.
the frog died.
This time it's a spider trying to cross the street. No,
Right.
but you're right. I think like reading a book, you're investing hours upon hours into that. Playing a video game, same thing. You're at a minimum probably 20 hours, sometimes up to 80 hours, depending upon what game you're playing. And it can be, you're so invested into it. And that's why one of the reasons I like series far better than movies these days. I'm finding myself really enjoying the investment you can have in series, but nothing can compare to reading a book and being invested. And then playing a video game like this that's all immersive is all the more if you allow yourself. Now, there's some people who don't, right? There's some people who just
Right.
play and hack at it, and that's just fun for them. But for me, I like to really, really invest. And that's one of the reasons, Aaron, that when I play, and not everybody has different gameplay strategies or how they roll, but I really like to get a lot of side quests and things out of the way. And then once I do that, my character is strong enough where I advance as far as I can on the side quests. Then I'll go and I want to really invest myself in the story back to back to back to back to back. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, totally makes sense. I feel like I'm the same way because it, it is so much. I don't want to say easier, but like when you get back to the main story after you've done all the side quests, because those side quests lead to power ups and
Right.
like ways to increase your skills or whatever.
Right.
And so then once you get into the back to the main storyline, you're you're like, okay, I'm the ultimate Spider-Man now, so
Yeah.
I can take it all down. And other other games are like that too, where it's like you've got the main quest, and I'm sure there's tons of people out there who are content with just doing the main storyline and that's it. But part of the fun for me uh is exploring everything
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
trying to, I love that. I know, I'm pretty sure all of the gaming platforms out there now do it with where you have trophies
Yeah.
or things that you like. You earn these little milestones
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
do certain things in the game, and some of them are like obvious, like you get through a certain chapter of the game, and it gives you a trophy
Congratulations.
saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, congratulations, you've reached chapter 2 or whatever."
Right.
Okay, great. I just went through the storyline, but there's others. It's like, oh, you crawled up 100 miles worth of side buildings.
Right.
So
Right.
congratulations, you get a gold trophy. Well, wow, I wasn't even trying for that.
Right. Right.
Um, but stuff like that. Like it's those little things that psychologically, like it's those little
Gratifying.
pats on the back or whatever.
Yeah.
It releases the is it dopamine? Am I
I
thinking
guess
right?
so. It's very gratifying, and
Yeah,
so at the same time, if you're in the middle of the main storyline and you're really invested and you keep dying because your character's not leveled up enough, that can be pretty jarring to your experience. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
That
So
was a
I mean,
stupid game.
yeah,
I
dude,
can't
hate
do
your
it.
story. All right, so the other thing I wanted to talk about real quick before we jump over to Miles Morales is the controversy about the faces of Peter Parker,
When they
because
updated the game.
yeah, because they did the PS4 and PS5 versions, and it's two completely different.
Yeah,
Um, so I have a PS5, so you know, I'm like looking at when I was playing Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2, you're seeing a different Peter Parker. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Weren't they trying to
And
make him look more like Tom Holland?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
very much so. Whether they admit it or not, I don't know if they admit it or not, but he definitely looks more like Tom Holland.
Come on, guys. This guy's supposed to be 6 years older than Tom Holland. Let's come on, stick with the old face.
Oh, but anyway, that kind of continuity is like, what? Who is this guy? You know?
Yeah.
Anything else about Spider-Man you wanted to talk about before we talk about Miles Morales?
Oh no, I'm ready to do. Let's get into Miles Morales because I've got a big. It's actually a little thing that a lot of people probably wouldn't notice playing the game,
Okay.
but for me, it's like I love that they paid attention to this detail.
Okay.
So folks out there, if you're not aware, Miles Morales is the other Spider-Man. The back history is he was created for the Ultimate Universe when in Ultimate Comics that Peter Parker died, and Miles Morales was also bitten by a genetically enhanced spider and became his own Spider-Man. And his powers are a little bit different. He still walks on walls. He still does the web swinging thing, but he also has this was it the Venom Sting kind of thing? It's basically he's got electric touch powers, and he can camouflage. He basically turns invisible for temporary. It's not forever. Um, so anyway, we get this kind of spin-off game because they introduced Miles in the first game, and he has been bitten by a spider, and he reveals to Peter at the end in kind of a post-credit scene that he has spider powers, and then Peter reveals to him that he does too. And so now we've got this new mentor-mentee relationship, which again, I think they really nailed it with these two guys. Um, and we'll get into more of that with Spider-Man 2. With the Miles Morales spinoff, there is no Peter Parker. I mean, he's there briefly, but
Yeah,
you don't play as Peter Parker. The game is completely Miles Morales. And so here's the thing that I love, that it's just this little detail. When you play the original Spider-Man and you're playing as Peter, you land on the top of like a flagpole or something, and he
right,
sticks the landing. Just boom, you're there. When you're playing as Miles, he's like, whoa, whoa. He doesn't quite stick the landing. He looks a little bit off balance, like he could fall,
right,
but he's just getting used to it. So I
right.
love that they show, Peter has been doing this for years, and so he knows how to do these things. But Miles, this is all new to him, and so when he makes a landing like that, lands on a flagpole or a traffic light or something, he's not too sure on his feet, and so he might fall. He doesn't
That's cool.
fall, but I
Yeah,
love that they show that, like, that he is inexperienced, and
detail.
this is a brand new thing for him. So yeah. But what did you think of Miles Morales going into that spinoff?
Yeah, I actually really like the game. One of the things, it was helpful for me because, they spent a lot of time on, it wasn't just another Spider-Man game. It doesn't deserve to be called Spider-Man 2, not because it's underwhelming or anything, but because it is, you're going and learning a whole another character. And they really explored his family, his culture. I mean, the whole thing with his uncle, and just they really, I think, paid great attention to African American, his family and lifestyle and all of that. I just thought that was great to see. I mean, I was educated on things, and it brought some value. And we're not just talking about African American. We're talking about like the girl that he likes. That's, she's blind or deaf. Sorry, she's deaf.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And mom's Puerto
there's
Rican.
yeah, mom's Puerto Rican, and yeah, it was cool. One of the things I wanted to mention is my son and I went to a Comic-Con in Richmond, and I think I told you this after I went, but I got to meet the voice actor of Spider-Man, the Miles Morales.
Oh,
Um, he had also done a voice in The Last of Us, Sam. But but anyway, he was a really cool guy, and he was like with my son, he was just like really cool. But yeah, I really like the game a lot. Again, I got to be able to peruse the city and do a lot of things, but there were some elements that were a little challenging for me just to kind of get used to. But by the time I play the whole game, it prepared me properly for Spider-Man 2, kind of the L1 square, kind of the charging sort of thing that you have to do.
yeah. Um, yeah, talking about the, whole education piece of it. I did like that it felt like the story was a lot more personal for Miles than what we got with Peter.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you had that personal piece, especially with, Aunt May passing away, but with Miles, there's so much he's trying to juggle with uh trying to keep his identity a secret from his family, which is harder to do when he lives with his mom.
yeah,
Peter lives by himself, and so it's like, well, he can keep that secret because he's not trying to share his life with anybody.
right,
And the people he has shared his life with, well, Mary Jane already knows, and
right.
um, so you've got this struggle for Miles, where he's trying to, I guess, keep it a secret, but winds up letting people in, and allowing people to know who it is that is behind the mask. And I
Right.
think that winds up making things so much easier for him because they support him. Like, it's like he's got a
Yeah.
team on his side, and so then he's not by himself. He's not just this lone spider. He has a support system.
Well, right.
Um,
Like Genki is, that's one thing that's cool. You think about the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, he's got his best friend, and that was a really fun vibe that you didn't get from, Garfield or Maguire's, versions. You didn't have somebody like that. So
right.
I love that, and they kind of incorporated that here. And it's a really cool thing to have him chiming in, um, throughout the game. I really like that a lot.
I really think that in the movies, like in the most recent, the Tom Holland movies, that Ned is more of a character based on, like, Ned is his own character in the comics, yeah, but I think that the design for Ned in the movies has been more based on Genki from the comics, because he's that the guy in the chair.
Yeah,
He's the one who's in Spider-Man's ear, helping him out with things behind the scenes
yeah,
and encouraging him to do what he needs to do. And
love
also to
that.
be that sounding board too. Like if Miles has somebody he needs to talk to, especially with Peter being like in the story they're telling is that Peter is out of town with MJ. And so, he doesn't have his mentor there. He's kind of left to watch New York City all on his own. And so, it's good that he has these friends who are able, and family, when especially when his mom finds out.
Yeah,
Um, and Uncle Aaron, like the Prowler, he knows. He figured it out early.
yeah, yeah. That
So,
was fun. One of the things I wanted to ask you, for the dynamics, what playing the first game and this game, you really start to notice that there's always like two plots going on, like a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you have a main plot that you're focused on, but then you have this other thing that's building too, like two different bad guys. Like, of course, you'd have in the first one, Mr. Negative was another, side plot that was going on while the Otto Octavius thing is going on. And then in this one too, you have similarly, you're dealing with little side quests along the way. The second one, same thing, and everything kind of culminates. I like that because ultimately it gives you the ability to fight different types of bad guys. You're
mhm.
not just when you go through the city, you're not just having one type of thing happen, you're having multiple things happen. And then you can change up your fighting style based upon that. I also wanted to ask what your thoughts were about stealth um, in the games, and if you found the ability to play as Peter Parker in the first game versus Miles Morales different, more or less challenging to accomplish stealth. And I'll tell you my opinion.
um, honestly, most of the time I forgot that stealth was even an option. Um,
Oh, you just went in blazing?
I yeah, I just didn't, unless there were instances that came up where like you were prompted to go stealth.
Yeah.
um I just didn't use it, because for me, knowing that it was um a temporary, like, the power you have to go stealth is temporary. Now I don't know if that's how it is
Oh,
in the
I'm sorry. Now
comics.
I don't necessarily mean just going invisible. I just mean like stealth, like
Oh,
overall.
you mean like the stealth takedowns and stuff, like
Yeah,
when you're.
that's what I mean. When you have to infiltrate an area,
Oh, I
and
love that.
yeah.
I love it.
Did you find there to be a difference between the two games? In that aspect.
um I think, if I'm remembering right, I think when I was playing as Miles, it felt like when he was doing his stealth missions, it was a little clunkier,
That's what I
which
felt.
which is, again, it makes sense because he's starting out, he's beginning to get this whole Spider-Man gig down, but it took me out of the I'm gonna say realism of the game when his stealth takedowns were as messy as they were, but it
Yeah.
didn't alert any of the other guys nearby.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So stuff like that, whereas, when you're playing the original Spider-Man game and it's Peter doing it, it's like he's really trying to keep things quiet, and
Yeah.
he's not making a big deal about sticking this guy to the wall.
Yeah.
um yeah, that's it. I thought that it was a little bit clunkier, and you have to suspend disbelief a little bit that the rest of the henchmen aren't going to clue into, hey, where did Joe go?
Did you find that Krieger was an underwhelming bad guy?
Is that the Roxxon
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
guy? Yeah. Uh, yeah. I mean, I knew he was slimy from the start. I mean, and I knew how
Right.
that's how they were going to paint him as, the corporate bad guy. I did like that. It was kind of a misdirect where he's not actually your bad guy.
Right.
He is a bad guy, yeah,
Right.
but he is
Right. Right.
not your main villain. And his former best friend turns out to be the bad guy, and she has
Right.
her reasons, and you feel sorry
Yep.
for her,
Ben.
obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, that's true. You kind of get like you've got the Roxanne thing happening, and then you have of course his uncle, that whole thing happening too, which is connected. But I think by the end of it, I finished the game and was like, okay, that was good. Now I'm ready for another one. Like I need my Peter Parker. Um,
Let's bring Spider-Man 2 back.
Yeah, yeah, and this is probably a good segue for us to go into that because I do want to share that when I got to Spider-Man 2 and realized that I could have the best of both worlds,
Mhm.
that was very gratifying to me. So, um, but yeah, that's all I got for that one.
Well, yeah, we'll get more into to what Spider-Man 2 looks like in our next episode. Before we wrap this up, I do want to mention the three-part DLC that came out for Spider-Man. Was
Oh
it The
yeah,
City That Never Sleeps?
yep,
You got to face off against Hammerhead. You got to see his relationship with Black Cat fleshed out a little bit.
yep.
Um, and when it comes to Black Cat, I do mean fleshed out a little bit. No, just kidding. It's very kid friendly. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. Any closing thoughts on the DLC or Spider-Man as a whole?
No, I mean it was really awesome. Like many games that are kind of groundbreaking, at the time when they come out, they are unbelievable. But when you have something like that that gets exceeded by a sequel, it's hard to go back. It's
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that on the
Yes,
next one.
yes, we absolutely will. There's I think we've already discussed. I had a hard time with one mechanic going back and playing the original, but all right. That is all we'll do for today's discussion of Marvel's Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Again for the Sony PlayStation, either 4 or 5, whichever one you happen to have. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode of the Show. And until next time, have a great whatever it is, wherever you are.
Goodbye.